This is Lebanon, October 16th, 2025. The night sky erupts in flames. These aren't fireworks. These are Israeli airstrikes. 12 of them in a single night. 1 person killed, 7 wounded. But here's the thing that should shock you. There's supposed to be a ceasefire. Welcome to the Shadow War, a conflict that officially ended nearly a year ago, but in reality, never stopped. Tonight, we're going deep. 25 minutes of information they don't want you to see. The bombs, the casualties, the violations. And the question no one seems willing to ask. When does a ceasefire stop being a ceasefire? I'm your host, and over the past weeks, we've compiled hundreds of sources, analyzed weapon systems, tracked casualty reports, and pieced together a story that mainstream media has largely ignored. What you're about to see is the most comprehensive breakdown of Israel's ongoing military operations in Lebanon. Let's begin. To understand what's happening today, we need to go back to October 7th, 2023. That day, Hamas launched a devastating attack on southern Israel, killing approximately 1,200 people and taking over 250 hostages. The world watched in horror. But what happened next set off a chain reaction that would engulf Lebanon. Just 1 day later, on October 8th, 2023, Hezbollah, the Iran-backed militant group and political party in Lebanon, fired rockets at Israeli military positions. They called it an act of solidarity with Palestinians. Israel responded with artillery and airstrikes. And just like that, a second front opened. Montage of cross-border attacks from late 2023 and early 2024 show both Israeli and Hezbollah strikes. Overlay casualty statistics as they appear on screen. For months, this remained a relatively contained border conflict. Tit-for-tat strikes. Evacuations on both sides. According to Al Jazeera's comprehensive mapping, between October 2023 and September 2024, over 8,000 Israeli strikes hit Lebanon, while Hezbollah fired approximately 9,000 rockets, missiles, and drones into Israel. But in September 2024, everything changed. September 23rd, 2024. This date will be remembered as one of the deadliest days in Lebanese history. Israel launched what it called Operation Northern Arrows, a massive aerial bombardment across Lebanon. In a single day, at least 558 people were killed, including 50 children. Another 1,800 were wounded. But the operation didn't stop there. Over the following days and weeks, Israeli forces conducted what can only be described as a systematic destruction campaign. Let me give you some numbers that should make your jaw drop. According to Amnesty International's investigation, over 10,000 structures in southern Lebanon were heavily damaged or destroyed between October 2024 and January 2025. In 3 municipalities, Yarin, Daira, and Bustan, more than 70% of all structures were destroyed. 70%. Imagine your entire neighborhood, your town, reduced to rubble. And here's the critical detail. Amnesty concluded that much of this destruction occurred outside of active combat and in the apparent absence of military necessity. In other words, these weren't collateral damage from firefights. These were deliberate demolitions. And it wasn't just homes. Between September and October 2024, Israeli strikes damaged 34 hospitals, killed 111 emergency medical technicians, and hit 107 ambulances. A CNN investigation found that bombs were dropped within what they call a lethal range of at least 19 hospitals. Dr. Faris Abiad, Lebanon's health minister, said, "It's clear that this is premeditated, that this is a state policy that Israel is following, whether in Gaza or in Lebanon. Human Rights Watch has referred to these attacks on healthcare workers as apparent war crimes. Now, let's talk about the weapons, because understanding what's being dropped on Lebanon is crucial to understanding the scale of this operation. We're not talking about small tactical strikes. We're talking about some of the most powerful conventional weapons in the world. First, the 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs. These are massive. A CNN analysis confirmed that at least 80 of these bombs were used in the strike that killed Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah on September 27, 2024. To put this in perspective, a single 2,000-pound bomb can level an entire apartment building. 80 of them? That's the equivalent of a small earthquake. The strike on Nasrallah targeted underground bunkers in Beirut's southern suburbs. The bombs penetrated deep into the earth before detonating, creating shockwaves that were felt across the city. Entire city blocks were reduced to rubble, and Nasrallah wasn't the only target. Throughout September and October 2024, Israel conducted a systematic assassination campaign, taking out Hezbollah's top military commanders one by one. Fuad Shukr, Hezbollah's most senior military commander, was killed in a Beirut airstrike on July 30th, 2024. Ibrahim Aqil, commander of Hezbollah's elite Radwan force, was killed along with 14 other commanders on September 20th, 2024. Next, we have JDAMS, Joint Direct Attack Munitions. These are essentially guidance kits that turn regular dumb bombs into precision-guided smart bombs using GPS. The Guardian newspaper analyzed shrapnel from a strike in central Beirut and confirmed the use of US-made JDAM munitions. The irony? These are supposed to be precise, designed to minimize civilian casualties. But when you drop them in densely populated urban areas, precision doesn't matter much. And then there's white phosphorus. Human Rights Watch documented Israel's use of white phosphorus munitions in Lebanon. Now, white phosphorus is legal under certain circumstances. It can be used for smokescreens or signaling. But when it's used in populated areas, it becomes a weapon. It burns at extremely high temperatures, can cause severe burns down to the bone, and the smoke is toxic. Human Rights Watch stated clearly, Israel's use of white phosphorus in Lebanon risks civilian harm. So to recap, 2,000-pound bunker busters, JDAMS, white phosphorus, plus artillery shells, drone strikes, and more. This is the arsenal being deployed against Lebanon. And it's largely made in America, funded by American taxpayers. By late November 2024, the death toll in Lebanon had reached catastrophic levels. Over 4,000 Lebanese had been killed and 17,000 wounded. The infrastructure damage was estimated at $11 billion. Finally, on November 27, 2024, a ceasefire was announced. The terms were based on UN Security Council Resolution 1701, which was originally passed in 2006 after the last major Israel-Lebanon war. The resolution called for a complete halt to hostilities and the establishment of a weapons-free zone between the Blue Line, the de facto border, and the Litani River in southern Lebanon. Only the Lebanese army and UNIFIL, the UN peacekeeping force, would be allowed in this zone. Crucially, Israel was supposed to fully withdraw from southern Lebanon by January 2025. There was hope. There were celebrations in the streets. People thought they could finally go home, but that hope was short-lived. Here's where the story gets truly disturbing. The ceasefire was violated almost immediately, and not just once or twice. According to multiple sources, Israel has conducted strikes in Lebanon almost every single day since the ceasefire was announced. Amnesty International's September 2025 report, marking 1 year since the major escalation, found that despite the ceasefire, the Israeli military continued to conduct airstrikes in southern Lebanon and in Beirut's southern suburbs. But it gets worse. 2 days after the ceasefire announcement, the Israeli military prohibited residents from moving back to villages located south of a line extending 3 to 11 kilometers into Lebanese territory. They told people, anyone who moves south of this line puts himself in danger. In the first 60 days of the ceasefire alone, at least 57 civilians were killed while trying to reach their villages in southern Lebanon. 57 people killed during a ceasefire just trying to go home, and Israel never fully withdrew. On February 17, 2025, the Israeli army spokesperson openly stated that Israeli forces remained in a number of strategic locations inside Lebanon. This is a direct violation of the ceasefire terms. They were supposed to be out by January. It's now October, which brings us back to where we started. October 16th and 17th, 2025, the strikes that happened just days ago. Let me walk you through exactly what happened, location by location. On Thursday, October 16th, Israeli warplanes launched 12 airstrikes across southern and eastern Lebanon. In Ben Aful, a town in the Sidon district, 2 Israeli attacks hit residential and outskirt areas, causing massive blasts. In Ansar, strikes hit industrial sites, causing fires that rage through the night. In the Nabatea district, jets bombed areas between the towns of Rumin and Humin. In Blida, in the Marjayun district, a drone struck, while residents were harvesting olives. Think about that. The Lebanese Health Ministry reported 1 person killed in Baalbek in eastern Lebanon and 6 injured in Nabatea district. Another person was wounded in a separate location. Israel claimed it was targeting Hezbollah infrastructure, specifically underground weapons storage facilities. But Lebanese President Joseph Aoun had a very different take. He accused Israel of seeking to destroy productive infrastructure and obstruct economic recovery under false security pretexts. He said Israel is deliberately trying to prevent Lebanon from rebuilding. TRT World reported that the explosions created massive shockwaves that echoed across southern Lebanon, sparking panic among residents. The missiles produced unprecedented flashes that illuminated the skies and were visible from long distances. This wasn't a surgical strike. This was a show of force. So where is the international community in all of this? Where's the accountability? The truth is, there isn't much. The United States, which supplies most of the weapons being used, has issued occasional statements of concern, but continues to provide military aid. The UN has documented violations, but has no enforcement mechanism. And the International Criminal Court? Lebanon hasn't even granted the ICC jurisdiction to investigate crimes on its territory. Christine Beckerl, Amnesty International's Deputy Regional Director for the Middle East and North Africa, said, "Every displaced family has the right to go home. Israel must immediately allow safe return and provide prompt, full, and adequate reparations to all victims of war crimes and violations of international humanitarian law." The numbers are staggering. Over 4,000 Lebanese killed, over 17,000 wounded, more than 10,000 structures destroyed, 34 hospitals damaged. And this is happening under the cover of a ceasefire that exists only on paper. So we're left with a shadow war, a ceasefire in name only, a conflict that the world has largely forgotten, but that continues to claim lives every single day. The people of Lebanon are trapped in a cycle of violence with no end in sight. The rules of war are being ignored, and the international community remains silent. The question we have to ask ourselves is, how long will this continue? How many more lives will be lost? And when will the world finally say enough is enough? Thanks for watching this deep dive. I know it was heavy, but this information needs to be out there. The full report with all our sources is linked in the description below. If you found this valuable, please share it. Subscribe for more in-depth investigations, and let me know in the comments. What do you think the international community should do? I'll see you in the next one.